In the mid-20th century, at a time when Western culture was wrestling with materialism, anxiety, and a deep hunger for meaning, Alan Watts emerged as one of the most captivating voices to bring Eastern philosophy into dialogue with the modern West. A British-born writer, speaker, and spiritual provocateur, Watts popularized Advaita Vedanta, the Indian philosophy of non-duality, by expressing its profound insights in poetic, playful, and deeply relatable language. Where traditional Advaita declared that the self and Brahman, the ultimate reality, are one, Watts translated this into imagery that could move Western hearts. You are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop. In this script, we will explore Watts's unique presentation of Advaita, its roots in ancient India, and its transformative relevance for the modern world. To understand Watts's interpretation, we must begin with the foundations of Advaita Vedanta. Derived from the Upanishads and systematized by the philosopher Shankara in the 8th century, Advaita teaches that reality is non-dual, that all distinctions between self and world, subject and object, are illusions produced by ignorance, avidya. The ultimate reality, Brahman, is infinite, eternal, and pure consciousness. The individual self, Atman, when stripped of illusions, is discovered to be none other than Brahman itself. Liberation, moksha, comes not through attaining something new, but through realizing what has always been true, the oneness of being. For centuries, this teaching remained within Indian spiritual traditions. Watts's genius was to show how this wisdom could speak to the modern West, torn between science, religion, and existential doubt. Alan Watts was not a monk, nor did he claim to be a guru. Instead, he was a bridge, someone who immersed himself in Zen Buddhism, Taoism, and Hindu philosophy, and then translated them into the idioms of Western culture. He was especially drawn to Advaita Vedanta because it addressed the most fundamental question of human existence: who am I? Watts saw in Advaita a cure for the alienation and loneliness of modern life. He rejected the idea that we are isolated egos trapped in fragile bodies. Instead, he used metaphor and humor to awaken listeners to the realization that we are waves of the infinite ocean, expressions of the cosmic dance. His voice, writings, and lectures carried the Advaitic insight into universities, countercultural movements, and living rooms across the Western world. Central to Watts's teaching was the idea that the separate self is an illusion. Modern consciousness, especially in the West, is conditioned to think of the self as a lonely I inside the head, looking out at a world of objects. Watts compared this to being fooled by a trick of language. Because we have nouns, we imagine reality is made of things, when in truth it is a process, a flowing. The sense of being cut off from the universe is, in his words, like mistaking a wave for something separate from the ocean. In Advaita terms, this illusion is Maya, the play of appearances. When consciousness awakens to its true nature, the boundaries between me and world dissolve, revealing a unity that was present all along. Watts often illustrated Advaita through the metaphor of water. Just as waves rise and fall but remain the ocean, so individuals appear and vanish but remain expressions of Brahman. His famous phrase, "You are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop," captured the paradox of non-duality. Each person is not merely a small part of a vast whole, but a full expression of it. Consciousness is the point where the infinite mirrors itself in the finite. To realize this is to experience liberation, not by rejecting individuality, but by seeing it as the dance of the whole. In this metaphor, Watts brought Advaita down from abstraction into an image anyone could feel, the intimacy of being both unique and infinite at once. Watts also framed Advaita in conversation with modern science. He pointed to physics and biology, which reveal that boundaries between things are not as absolute as they appear. The body is not a machine separate from its environment, but a continuous process of exchange with air, food, and energy. The self cannot be isolated from the web of life any more than a wave can be isolated from the ocean. In quantum physics, Watts saw resonances with Advaita. Reality is not built from solid, separate particles, but from dynamic fields of energy. He used these scientific parallels not to reduce Advaita to science, but to show that both pointed toward the same truth, that the universe is a seamless whole, and consciousness is its living expression. For Watts, the realization of Advaita was not about adopting new beliefs, but about a shift in consciousness. He emphasized that liberation comes not through effortful striving, but through recognition. When the illusion of separation falls away, life is experienced as play, as the cosmic dance of Lila. Anxiety and fear dissolve because the ego is no longer clinging to survival as a lonely fragment. Instead, one recognizes oneself as the whole universe experiencing itself in a particular form. This awakening does not mean withdrawing from the world, but engaging it more freely, with joy and compassion. Watts presented Advaita as an antidote to modern alienation. It restores a sense of belonging, purpose, and wonder in the heart of existence. Alan Watts's brilliance lay in showing that Advaita Vedanta was not an exotic philosophy for mystics in India, but a universal truth for modern humanity. He spoke to a culture burdened by guilt, division, and existential uncertainty, offering a vision of wholeness and freedom. By blending poetry, humor, and philosophy, he made the non-dual insight accessible, that the self is not separate but one with the cosmos, that consciousness is the universe knowing itself. His teaching invites us to awaken to the truth that we are not isolated drops, lost in an ocean of chaos, but the entire ocean expressing itself through each of us. In embracing this vision, the modern soul rediscovers its place in the infinite, finding not just meaning but liberation in the heart of life itself. Alan Watts' gift was to take the profound insights of Advaita Vedanta and translate them into words that modern people could feel in their bones. His reminder, that we are the ocean in a drop, continues to free countless listeners from the prison of separateness. Through Watts, Advaita entered the Western imagination not as an abstract doctrine but as a living experience, the realization that consciousness is boundless, that life is a dance of the infinite, and that the divine is not elsewhere but shining in each moment of awareness. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Here at Spiritual Quest, we go deep into different philosophers and scientists with mind-bending insights and perspectives to open our minds and go through this spiritual journey together. Please share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's spark deep and interesting conversations. The world needs us to reflect more and to have more conversations about the nature of reality. Our channel is finally starting to grow. This means people are waking up. Wake up with us. We upload a new video every single day. Thank you so much for being here.